Welcome back to the coverage at Euros weekend. It's the main event. It's the European Championship 2019 with 1,900 players. The largest ever European Championship we have ever had in Europe. Thank you to everyone who made it here. It's a very, very full venue. We're here on the center stage where we'll be playing our feature matches. We are having a healthy mix of different decks and very known players. Sometimes we already have combinations of both. And now we have two guys that want to make a name for themselves. We haven't seen them that often before in the feature match area, but that might change after today's event because they're both going to make a very big splash. We're going to start in the blue corner, Alex Robertson. Hey, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm quite okay. The energy on the stage always gets me.
Yeah.
So you are from Scotland.
Yes.
What's it like playing there?
Well, my family lived there, but now I live in the south, so not really. Yeah.
So you left the country.
Yes, basically.
You deserted. What's it like in the UK?
It's really nice, because I travel to a lot of regionals. I know the majority of the south player base, so it's just really friendly and just competitive as well. Because a lot of them are the UK's got a lot better over the last few years. It's really nice playing.
All right. And that's also how you qualified, I guess, by playing in one of the regionals there? All right. So how happy are you with your tournament so far?
It's been okay. I haven't lost a game yet, and I'd say I've been playing pretty well. Maybe one misplay, but yeah.
Okay, sounds pretty good. Please have a seat. His opponent is from Switzerland, Francis Rueff. Hey.
Hi.
We don't have nearly enough players from Switzerland, is what people always tell me on the stream. You would agree, I guess?
Yes.
Yes. How is your tournament going so far?
My tournament is great so far. I really like that I'm here right now in the feature match, and I can tell you it's going to be great.
Okay, very confident. That's cool. Tell us a little something about the community in Switzerland.
Our community in Switzerland is growing so far. Every tournament there's more players and really good players actually. And yeah, we're all traveling together to the events, and it's nice.
Right. Yeah, and you're all very nice. I can vouch for that. Please have a seat as well. All right, both our players are ready. We have one player already promising us it's going to be fun. Let's please roll the die to see who's going to go first. Right, high roll with 2 dice. That's an 8 for Alex. That's a little bit less. It's a 7. Who is going to go first?
I'll start.
All right, Alex is going to go first. With that, I'm going to take you guys over to our commentators for this round. It's going to be JJ Rogers together with Daniel O'Niat.
And we are here for round 4 of WCQ Utrecht. We have Switzerland versus the UK. This is a matchup we haven't seen yet this weekend, and it's something pretty exciting. Players are currently getting set up still. So in the interim, first off, welcome to the stream, JJ. And secondly, you are a local. So how does it feel to have the European Championship in your local area?
It's a really exciting experience, actually, and also being on a commentary chair with you, discussing it, and discussing all the feature matches to come. It is a very interesting experience, and it's such lively with a lot of energy. So I'm happy to be doing this and happy to be doing it.
Awesome. Well, I mean, the Dutch community is a really great one,
Yep.
and these guys come from 2 really big communities. I've been over for Swiss Nationals, and if you get a chance to go to play Yu-Gi-Oh!, Switzerland's a really nice place to play it.
Yeah.
And then again, UK is just such a strong area. I've actually played against Alex quite a few times this season at regionals. He's a really solid player, so I'm expecting a lot from these guys. The players do have their headphones on, so now we get to talk about their decks.
Okay, so then we have Francis on Necros. It's a deck we don't really see too often. It's one of the very fringes of the format, but he's undefeated with the deck, so it's going to be very interesting to see how that's going to be turning out. And then we have Alex Robertson. He's also on a tried and tested salad.
Yeah. So Alex has been on this deck for the entire format, basically. Francis is on Necros, and Necros is something that I've really been wanting to feature. We saw it take a national championship this season. It's an old favorite. It just got Shurit back. It has the new Incantation cards. There's a lot of potential here. But I believe the players are ready, so we won't hold you guys back any longer. We will go over to the match and see how it goes. Okay, so Alex has won the dice roll. He has chosen to go first. In most matchups, that's pretty good. But
But I don't know. It really depends on what the Salamangreat player is going to be playing game one. If he has something going for him like Denko Seka and stuff to get off his incantations off to combat the Salamangreat first turn board of Roar or Rage versus anything your opponent is going to potentially play.
Yeah, so if Francis is able to get past the counter trap card, then he will be in a strong position where he will be able to set up cards like Necros of Trishula, which really are very strong going second. We also see that he has evenly matched mained. He's not after drawing it, but he does have one more draw, and both of these are really strong going second.
Exactly. You always want to see those type of cards as your sixth card, usually.
So looking at Alex's list, he is only playing 2 Signet Mining, which is interesting because a lot of the lists that we have seen this weekend have been playing Tree. So it'll be something to kind of figure out, like, why is he on that ratio? He is on the Tree Flame Bufferlow, which we have seen to be common at the moment.
I guess what you could probably chalk that up to is that they're probably scared of playing hand traps, playing against hand traps. So something like a draw on resolution of adding your Cyberse monster so you can't resolve a circle after if you haven't used it in your standby phase or anything. Or they're scared of Ash, so having less of that is probably a bit more important.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we are still getting ready, so we are back to us.
Welcome back.
So let's just take a look at Necros. I don't know how much you've looked at it, but it's kind of been growing in popularity again since Short was released from the list. So we see interesting cards. Vanity's Ruler.
That is really spicy. I like that a lot.
2,500 attack. Your opponent can't special summon monsters while you control it.
Yeah.
And the great thing is you can incantation, summon another incantation, and then you just tribute both for Vanity's Ruler, and you say, well, I mean, I have a Dark Magician who says you can't play.
Exactly.
Seems good.
Yeah, you know, I have a one-sided Vanity's Emptiness. Good luck. Have fun.
Exactly. In addition to that, we see Soravis, which is a card that has been going in and out of side decks for a very long time. It's a ritual monster here, so potentially it could be used for more, but realistically it's a case of it gives protection from targeting, and you really want to be able to kind of
resolve your Trish, resolve your Unicorn, resolve your Bryo, since Bryo's currently at 3 again, and you also have Shrit to enable the searches for all the stuff that you need. It's very important that all your pieces resolve in play. So,
interestingly, there is no Curaz the Mega Monarch here. It's Zaborg the Mega Monarch, which is the Light Mega Monarch. And that is odd because a lot of people are using that with the incantations because you summon it, tribute, and then you will be able to destroy your opponent's extra deck. As it is though, players are now ready. So we will be beginning the game. We have their hands on screen. Francis is, after opening Called by the Grave, he has Incantation Chalice Slime, which is the new ritual monster for the archetype from Dark Neostorm. We also have Salamandra, Unicorn, and Valk. Whereas Alex, or Betty as he is often known in the UK community, has a really nice opening. He is going to be going into his Mirage Stalio. He's going to get to set up a very nice board here for game one.
Exactly. I mean, Stalio, opening up Stalio, it still gives you the full combo, but it's a bit more susceptible to hand traps. It's one of the weaker parts of the plays that you probably need to want to watch out for if you're ever playing the deck in the future. But he's still going to be able to establish a board and it's going to be fine. And he's going to use Bailings. Bailings being able to search his field spell and being able to set up for his following turn.
Yeah, so for people watching, both of these players are currently trio. There are actually quite a few Necros players in the event, but Francis was the highest in rankings, so he is who we chose for this feature. So Alex is going to go into a second Sunlight Wolf using his Bailings and Sunlight Wolf. Obviously, he now has protection for the Sunlight Wolf on the field, and he's only setting one card, so that's quite an underwhelming opening for a Salamangreat player.
In comparison to Necros and what they could potentially do going first.
Yeah, potentially, like, if Francis is able to get access to something like Necros of Trishula, it will be a massive blowout here, and he can potentially put a lot of damage on board.
Exactly. So then we'll see he's special summoning Candlewick from out of his hand, and he's going to be using Wick's effect to special summon Mandrake out of his deck.
Yes, exactly.
So then Mandrake is the one that allows him to add Ritual Monster to hand, correct?
Yeah, we will bring it up once we have a chance. Yeah, so if it's special summon, you can add one Ritual Monster from your deck to your hand. Of course, Necrose loves being able to search Ritual Monsters because you have Necrose of Brionac, who we see here,
Exactly.
and there's also Necrose of Colossalus, who can be discarded to search a Necrose spell or trap card.
Exactly. So he's going to pay the costs, discard, send them to grave, see if anything's going to be responded to.
Called by
Shame.
the grave. That is quite sad. You definitely want to be able to resolve the Brionac here. And again, Brionac is one of those core identity cards of the deck. It was the card that you really wanted to gain access to back in the day when Necrose was the tier 0 deck to
Of the
beat.
format, yeah, exactly. Where everybody needed to main deck some stuff like DD Warrior Lady to get over their boards and stuff, which was really interesting to be playing against. So he's going to be revealing the incantation Ritual Monster again.
So we'll bring up Chalice Slime for those of you who have not come across it. Again, this is actually from Savage Strike. I said it was from Dark Neostorm. Again, it just does a lot. You can send an incantation. You can reveal it, discard one card, and summon an incantation from your deck. And you lose life points if you don't summon a Ritual Monster this turn, but realistically that is going to happen. We have a Candle coming out, which will allow him to add a Ritual spell card. Ash Blossom comes down though, so just because Alex doesn't have much in terms of interaction on the field.
But Call by the Grave was changed in response to it, so he can still be able to resolve that.
Yeah, and here comes the Necrose Kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope is such an excellent card because it allows you to send cards like Herald of the Arclight, which allows you to gain value when summoning the Necrose of Unicorn that we know Francis has in his hand. And shutting down the extra deck cards against Salamangreat is really impactful because they're what gives Alex access to his recursion. It does not affect the Gazelle though, but without being able to add cards back off Gazelle, it will be hard for Alex to find pressure. He's going to need to draw a copy of either Infinite Impermanence or Salamangreat Roar so that he can break through the board and start trying to do stuff.
So I guess for the following turn, he does have a Buffalo, so he can still set up for a play from next turn and hopefully get something in grave after drawing a couple of cards and seeing what he can establish after that.
Yeah, 100%. And Balinx is able to activate here, protecting the Sunlight Wolf. So the Sunlight Wolf stays, but as an 1800 attack monster, it's not really doing much. It's not what you want to see in this situation.
It's not getting out over the Unicorn. And Unicorn is one of those strange cards where it has a continuous effect that stops all extra deck monsters. So it's it's one of the weird things that it still kind of keeps on coming back at every format, which...
I mean, it's currently at 1, and it's at 1 for good reason.
Exactly.
Because if it were higher, it would be absurd. We see the Mirage Stalio being summoned. If he links away with it, he'll be able to return the Unicorn.
And he also has Rage, which can kind of help him.
Yeah, he's still in this game for sure. Getting to summon Sunlight Wolf using Sunlight Wolf Gazelle is activating in hand. Here we see Soravus coming in clutch. It's able to protect the Unicorn from the Mirage Stalio.
Oh, but I think he's actually getting a
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So Chainlink 1 was the Mirage Stalio, and the Gazelle actually protects the Mirage Stalio from the Soravus.
Oh, that's very unfortunate. But now Soravus is a very interesting card. It was actually also used in some parts of the Mermail format when he came back for a bit.
Yeah.
When he came back for a stint.
Yeah, he was played in Burning Abyss as well. You know, it's a card that just comes and goes, and you know, when it's good, it's good. It's also a light, so it means that it has been relevant in kind of, you know, particularly the Burning Abyss deck that won UK Nationals last year.
Yes.
Was
Because they
able to
played
use it.
Black Luster Soldiers and stuff like that, right?
Played a lot of Blackluster Soldiers. You know, you never really think that you're going to see today that Blackluster Soldier Envoy of the beginning is at 3. And nobody's even playing it.
No, exactly. He seems to be secluded to, oh, maybe I might play him. So now he's going into battle.
Yeah.
And since Jack Jaguar does have a piercing effect, he's going to be doing a decent bit of damage. So it's
Yeah.
going to be 18.
This is unfortunate, and again, now that Alex has an actual trap card backing up his monsters, he's definitely in a much better place because he'll have protection for the Unicorn, and his trap doesn't target.
Exactly. And now he's also going to be in position where, oh, he's going to be re-adding the Gazelle after linking again. And since he has co-linked monsters, they're not going to be able to be destroyed by battle, correct?
Yeah, which is really relevant here. I mean, if Unicorn comes down, then obviously
It won't matter.
the cards will be negated. Here's where we see the strength of Necros, because Francis will be able to banish his Kaleidoscope in order to search another Necros spell card if he wants. He can only do that while he controls no monsters.
That's evenly matched in his hand, so I guess we'll be assuming end of battle.
Yeah.
So of course the roar is going to be changed.
That's unfortunate.
So he had everything. Oh my.
Right. Yep. Sometimes your opponent just has everything. So we see the Salamander coming down again, and we will have to see which of the incantations he decides to summon, because there are a bunch of them. Some let you add from grave, some let you add from deck. So he is going from Kandal, which is ritual spell card from the deck.
So then I guess, wouldn't you want to go circle here instead of
Kaleidoscope?
Kaleidoscope?
Well, Kaleidoscope will let him send Herald, and then he'll be able to search Circle.
Search again,
So,
yeah. So he could get Brio again, so then he can still kind of cycle through his deck for stuff he needs.
Yeah, he can get whatever he wants here.
Exactly.
The Unicorn most likely is going to be hit by the Salmon Great Rage at some point.
I mean, I think only at the points where he feels threatened, to say the least, I guess.
Yeah.
And since Rage doesn't target, he'll be able to get around the Shuravius that's in Francis's hand.
For people watching, our data for Alex isn't showing up, so the hand is not representative of what he has.
But we can kind of have an insight. I think there is the Salomon Great, Field Spell, a Flame Buffalo,
And a Gazelle.
Gazelle. Or was that a Phantasme?
It could be a Phantasme, but Phantasme is not doing anything.
No,
here.
no, right, no.
So we see Necro's Cycle coming. Again, the Necro's deck with the incantations just has so much ability to just power through cards. The part where it struggles is cards like Droll and Lockbird can be a real hassle for it. Necros of Brionac coming down.
Would have been really good. Really, really good. If he didn't have Rage.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Necros of Brionac's effect is not a quick effect, because otherwise he would have been able to return the 2 monsters. In this position here, the Kandal is a really big issue, because it means that Francis wasn't able to just go grab his Necros Mirror or anything like that.
So he's going to use the main phase, Sunlight Walls effect to re-add his Rage again, so he can be able to go off or disrupt his opponent the following turn.
Yeah, for sure. And at this stage in the game, Salmon Great is really starting to establish itself. Alex is going to be able to get Roar back to his hand. Realistically, he can set it if he wants by Link Summoning, and then he will be able to make sure he has a Rage as well. So it's going to be very tough for Francis to establish more here.
But it's not necessarily that over yet. I think if he clears a Candle, gets cleared, right?
Yeah.
He's at 60
He has a Valkyrus to negate an attack.
So then he can get rid of the Valkyries or another Necros monster that's in grave, search for a spell in hand. It depends on what his top deck is. He can still kind of come back from this, can't he?
Realistically, he is trying to play through a Roar and a Rage, which is difficult for most decks.
Yeah, very.
Alex looks like he might be overextending into the Valkyries, and he might not be considering it. But at the same time, Valkyries only stops the attack. Francis would need to be seeing a top deck such as Preparation. The Valk is revealed.
Really, he's going to use it instead of letting the candle be cleared and then stopping the attack. But I guess you kind of want to stem the bleeding a bit. You don't want to be taking so much damage. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're preserving material on board, which is fine.
Okay, I thought he would rather prefer filtering through his deck a bit and potentially getting something.
Yeah, it does lock him out of being able to use his ritual spells to search more ritual spells, which is kind of odd. The Dweller comes down, and that is going to be game one. Realistically, Necros, even when it was at its height of power, Abyss Dweller was such a problem card for it. It was made in a mirror because when you had multiple Necros of Unicorns, you were able to make it, or you were able to make Laval Chain and other fun cards like that.
Sending Gin Releaser rituals to Grib and having fun times and enjoying yourself. Yeah.
lots of fun. Everybody loves Gin Releaser rituals. Nothing bad ever came of that card. Let's look at the side decks here.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
So Francis obviously has the less familiar side deck, I guess.
Of course, let's go through with that first, actually.
Yeah, so realistically here, what I am expecting to see from Francis is Denko Seke. He has 2 copies of. Your Necros cards already match really nicely into the Salomon Great Link monsters. So you are able to use Denko in conjunction with something like a Unicorn, and you just shut down the entire Salomon Great deck. At that point, they only have hand traps, and hand traps don't apply pressure. They only try to slow you down.
Yeah, exactly. They disrupt you, yeah.
So definitely bringing in the Denko Sekas. Other than that, he could potentially bring in something like Gamma Seal or Twin Twisters, but those are not great in this sort of matchup.
I mean, the Gamma Seals, if Alex doesn't play around getting Gamma Sealed, I guess if he kind of sets up a Rage without a second Link monster, he can kind of get caught up in that. But
yeah, the problem is that the build Alex is playing, he is generally going to be ending on Sunlight Wolf plus Balings.
Oh, okay.
So I would be very surprised if he were susceptible to Gamma Seal.
Okay.
And additionally, with Gamma Seal, I'm not sure that...
It's progressing your game state.
I losing out on that card might not be worthwhile.
Okay.
What would you expect Alex to bring in here?
Alex, okay, he has Salomon Great Peril, which is kind of an interesting card if you want to play into time. We won't be seeing that game, of course. He has 3 Draw and Log Burn. Potentially is really good against this deck since it adds a lot, searches a lot of stuff.
Really good here.
Lancia, maybe if you want to counteract the shreds and the banishment of your ritual spells. There's Scythe, Sanctums. We won't see those, of course. Rage, two extra copies of Rage, 2 Typhoons, and 1 Imperial Order. So I think the Imperial Order Drawn Locks I would probably bring in here against this matchup.
Yeah.
Seeing as...
Imperial Order Drone Lock. Like, back in Necros format, if you looked at decks such as Shaddoll, they were playing Anti-Spell Fragrance.
Exactly.
For the Necros matchup when they were going first, and Imperial Order is just a better Anti-Spell in this.
Like, even if you're going second, it's a pretty okay top deck, because if you end up clearing their board as a Salomon Great player, or you stop them from drawing extra cards, you kind of draw it as your 6th, you kind of set it, do your thing, pass turn, and standby phase.
It's never a bad card.
No, it's not. No.
You don't even need to standby phase it. Anti-spell, you have to standby phase. Imperial Order, you let them play the first thing, and you're like, oh, that card didn't do anything. I'm really sorry. But you're kind of grinning while you say that.
Sort of sorry, not sorry. So
yeah,
part of Extravagance is activated.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons that decks like Necros are able to succeed in this kind of event, is Extravagance is Pot of Greed. For this deck, the only scenario where it isn't is if all of the Herald of Arclights are hit, because that's kind of the really important one, because we saw that Unicorn was a really important card and something that Alex wants to play around. It looks like we might have seen a reinforcement of the army being picked up here.
Oh, so then he can kind of add his shreds and be able to get a lot of good advantage from that.
Ooh, this is a really nice hand. Reinforcement of the army, preparation of rights, and a Brionac.
And I think I still saw a Herald of Arclight in the extra deck, so that I think we are good to go.
We have most of Alex's hand here. He does have a effect Veiler, which could be good later in the turn, but
Don't know if it does really much anything right
it's
now.
only strong if Francis is going to end on like a Valk and try to use Valk's effect to draw cards.
Yeah.
It can also hit this here.
Okay. So then he's going to use...
Alex is tinking on the incantation's effect.
Oh, he's going to Veiler it. I think that's a pretty okay target. Is he going to respond with anything? Okay, no, he's going to just let it slide.
So you can't Veiler the incantation.
Because it activates in hand, resolves on field,
Special
right?
summon spout.
Oh. Okay. Well, while we're getting this sorted out relatively quickly for you guys, it shouldn't affect the game state too much.
The judges will be able to get it
Because then he could just
pretty quickly.
Veiler the monster that's summoned off of the Talisman, right?
Yeah, he'll be able to summon. So its effect summons both monsters,
Yeah.
and then when they are summoned, they let you get a card.
Okay. You can reveal one ritual monster from your hand. Special summon both this and... Okay, yeah. It activates in hand, yeah. So, while hopefully that doesn't go too far, Unicorn's being summoned. It shouldn't... Like, how much of the game would it influence now, would you think?
I don't think it changes much massively, because the Veiler would still just come down on the incantation.
The monster that's summoned.
Is summoned, yeah. Oh, right, it was summoned using the incantation ritual.
Oh, that one was in hand, right? The Chalisime.
Sure. That makes more sense. Yeah, so there's no issues here.
Okay, then. So he's gonna Unicorn pass turn.
Yeah, Unicorn Pass is not the greatest hand ever. We see what looks like a Trishula in hand.
Yep. I
Yeah.
mean, he does have a set Twin Twister, so potentially if he has anything at the end of this turn that he wants to set, like extra rages or roars or anything like that. Ooh, and he draw the Longbird off of the Buffalo's effect, and the Gazelle gets special summon on resolution.
Yes. Gazelle's such a core card in the Salmon Great deck. Like, I mean, it is the heart and the soul of the deck.
Exactly.
And we see here, even when Alex isn't able to use any of his extra deck cards, he can just keep climbing and climbing by using Gazelle and Spinny. He'll be able to go into his Mirage Stalio
Yep.
and try and clear this Unicorn. Unfortunately for him,
It's a Trishula in hand.
there is a Trishula and a Ceravis, both of which protect from targeting effects, and he doesn't have the Gazelle to back up the Mirage Stalio this time.
And does he play foul? He does play foul, but unfortunately it's not in his hand at the
No,
moment.
he has a Falco in hand.
I could kind of see him activating the will, special summoning the Falcon out of hand. And then, what would you think he'd probably potentially be able to use here? Then?
So, I mean, realistically, he could just summon a monster which is bigger than Unicorn
Core.
and just try attack over it.
Yeah.
That is probably the direction to go in. As his big monster, he has Borreload Dragon, which is pretty good.
Yes.
Which the Salmon Great deck people are between Borreload, Boral Sword, and Crusadia Avramax.
There's some people who also use the update jammer combo.
Yes, there's the Update Jammer combo, which is pretty cute. He does not seem to be playing it here because he has elected to go for multiple Mirage Stalios and multiple Abyss Dwellers,
Yep.
which makes the mirror match a lot better. And we do see Salmon Great as the most represented deck at this event, so that seems quite reasonable.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, the Mirage Stalio is thwarted by the Ceravis. So he's going to return Mirage Stalio, summon Jack Jaguar, but he does not have damage on this board here, so he will need to Link Climb higher.
Yep.
And I think his only option here really is to go into Boral Sword. Or Borload.
Reload, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, the Borload cannot gain control of the Unicorn. He could go into Heath Leo actually and crash because he has
His Balings
the
in green.
Balings. The Heath Leo will survive.
But unfortunately, since he already used his will, he'll be stuck on a Heat Leo. I mean, he can get rid of a set twin.
I
No,
mean,
not yet.
he gets to play his field spell, and he can then reincarnate Link, the Heath Leo, and... No, yeah, he's just going for the Borload.
Yeah. It's a
Like-
bigger body here, yeah.
Yeah, it has 3k attack. That's sufficient. A problem that he may run into, though, is if Trishula comes down, Trishula will be able to clear this Borload. And that's a lot of resources that have been committed to making it.
Yep. So right now he's left with a Sanctuary of the Salamangreat in hand, and Pot of Extravagance was top deck for the turn. Ooh.
So, Pot of Extravagance, normally I would be quite happy to see it here.
Mm-hmm.
But first off, I mean, Kaleidoscope is getting to the point where it won't be playable anymore.
Yeah, that's true. You
But
would-
additionally, the Droll Lockbird's going to come down.
yeah. So he won't be able to hopefully resolve a ritual. Hopefully.
He has to be hoping that he draws something good here because he's not going to get to search after this point. Droll Lockbird comes down. Alex says, if you have the stuff in hand, you have the stuff in hand.
Exactly. This would have been so good if he had access to the Colossus. He could have searched for anything here.
It looks like he has an infinite impermanence, and he drew a Colossus, but Colossus does not do anything here. Fun fact about Colossus, the French name for the card is Cleve Solus, which is in fact an Irish word. So, yeah, which means Sword of Light. So, that's kind of cute, but apparently it didn't get that name
Fun
in the
facts
rest
with
of
Danny.
the TCG. But very important. You need to know what cards are in your native language. Are there any cards with specifically Dutch words in them?
I guess Siegfried's. It's an old war general.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of it, and he kind of reoccurs in the lore and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, we have a few Siegfrieds, right? We
Yeah.
have DDD,
Yep.
Siegfried, who is really good.
Yeah.
And I think there are a few other ones as well. Can't think of them off the top of my head.
Wouldn't impermanence being under will a bit better here?
Potentially.
I mean, he can't target the Boral Sword with it, of course, but I mean, like, after. So, say, for example, he normal summoned something, you target it with the permanence, the will is shut off, you don't have access to it anymore. Would not have been okay here?
Yeah. I think you have a point. Potentially impermanencing the Gazelle would also be a good idea. He's saving it here for the Mirage Stalio.
Okay, but I hope he does know that Boral Sword's effect can actually be used now, since the effect of Stalin was negated.
I didn't think Boral Sword's effect is really scary. Like, oh no, he took my defense position monster, which doesn't do anything and is preventing me
From
searching.
special summon, true.
Yeah, it's fine. The circle coming down here could be good. Going for the Salamangreat Foxy.
It's actually a really good card. I think that's probably one of my favorite cards of the whole archetype.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I have put a lot of consideration into playing Salamangreat, and Foxy is the card that makes me go, this is a really good stack. Like, it lets you find cards when you need them, and then it also just summons back. And if your opponent is playing Sky Striker or Salamangreat, then you sometimes just get to clear a card for free.
Exactly.
Super good.
Like a multi-roll or...
Yeah, you
summon
see a
limit or
multi-roll
something.
and you kind of like raise your eyebrows at your opponent and you're like, that's a nice multi-roll you got there. It'd be pity if somebody summoned a Foxy.
Okay. So we're going to get in with a bit of damage.
5k damage coming in from the Mirage Stalio and a Boraload. But, you know, Francis is in a playable position here. He has Colossus, he has Trishula. He would really love to see a reinforcement of the army so he could search out Church.
But unfortunately, didn't... Wait, Falco hasn't used the effect yet, and the Rage is set, right? Oh, he's using the secondary effect of
Yeah.
Rage. Ah, okay. So it's going to set it. And forget it. And then it's going to pass turn.
Yeah, the rage is perhaps an issue. We have the incantation Quill, I think it's Pencil Plume. But this is where the Necro's ritual spells are coming in important, because it means that Francis is going to be able to guarantee that he has ritual spells in his hand.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Pencil Plume is reveal a ritual monster to summon one from deck.
And he has a Trishula in hand, so he can do that.
Yeah, he can do that for sure.
And he can't...
It's also a level 3, so if he can get a level 6 monster, then he will be able to just summon Trishula normally with its requirements.
Exactly.
Obviously, there is a counter trap card on the field to prevent the attempt of that play.
Yep. But, Okay, so he's going to reveal the Colossus, I guess,
Yep.
withholding the information that he has a Trishula in hand. So he's going to play around that since his opponent already knows he has a Colossus in hand.
Yeah, revealing the Colossus is fine. Realistically, though, it does suffer from the issue that your opponent now knows that you can search for an additional ritual spell. Pencil Plume is coming down. It is going to grab another incantation from the deck.
Yep.
And these guys have such a toolbox of effects. We're seeing the old reliable Salamandra coming down. This is a point where Alex will consider whether or not he wants to negate it. It seems like he is letting it through.
Exactly.
We get to search a Necros of Brionac here. The gang is all back together.
I mean, he can't really play around draw and stuff like that anymore. He needs to kind of go into clear this board.
I mean, this is potentially the last tournament game one way or another.
Exactly. Somebody's going to be losing this one.
Either Francis is going to break Alex's board and get this over to game 3, or else he is going to burn out of resources. Like, you can see the deck is already starting to get very thin. We've seen so many incantations. We have seen the entire extra deck bar 2 cards be used.
Exactly. So he's contemplated whether or not to either get Shrit or Valkyries, but I think Valkyries is probably the better player if he kind of wants to salvage a turn or 2 extra after this.
Yeah, I don't think he should be playing at this point for a long game. Like, Salmon Great just has such an ability to constantly generate more cards. On the other hand, it is a case that Alex is at the point that he only has this 3000 attack monster, and then everything else is lower. The Brionac is coming out. The Brionac will be able to target the Borreload plus another monster to try and return them, but it will most likely be negated by the Salmon Great counter trap card.
So I think he'll probably want to target Balix and Stalio. If he chains Circle here and uses the effect of, was it Reincarnation linked or was it just normal linked?
I believe it was just normal links.
Okay, so he can't use the protection effect on it then. Or can he? Yeah, he can. Okay, just to make sure. Target, that was Link Summon. Yeah, then it needed to be Reincarnation linked too.
Yeah.
Okay. So Stalio's...
Brionac doesn't care if one of its targets becomes illegal anyway. Oh, right, he can't even target Boral Sword. Or Borreload, I'm a silly bully. But here comes the next Necro spell. This is being negated, and this is big because it denies the Trishula. And a Trishula would have been very divisive here. It is a very high-pressure card. And now you just have a Brionac, and you're saying, well, what do I do here? What leads to a way out?
It's going to be very hard after this, because now if the Brionac stays on board, I mean, he can't really get rid of it because he has the plume in field, and he needs to not control any monsters to be able to use his ritual spells effects.
Yes.
This is going to be a very tough one. I mean, it's not necessarily over, but it's... I guess you try to just get in for a bit of damage and see what happens after.
I mean, it's a really tough position because Borreload is just going to start stealing everything you own. And that's never the position that you want to be in.
Of course not. And then he's going to have a Wilf next turn. So Alex is going to have a Wilf next turn, which is going to be very good.
Alex has Will, he has Salmon Great cards in graveyard, he has Foxy in graveyard. he has everything he wants as a Salomon great player.
So
It
it's-
seems like Francis is just considering his options, and he's like, "Do I have anything here?"
what is my out here in this situation? Do I just try to at least get rid of a Baling's Engrave and then bluff that I have something like a hand trap in my hand? Or
Yeah, I mean, you're on 2,300, so it's hard to imagine that you will be on high life points going into your next turn. But he really needs to find a line that he is happy with here, because there are only 10 minutes remaining on the clock. So not only does he need to sort this game, he also needs to have enough time to go into the next game and finish that out as well. He does have a Gagaga Cowboy in his extra deck, so should it go to a game 3, he has access to free damage. However, Alex also has Salmon Great Paro.
So he raises him 1,000, so a 200 life point difference is still gonna make a
Yeah,
decent
exactly. It's just not sufficient. He is looking at his graveyard. He is considering his plays. And this is weird because, Necros was such a dominant, impactful deck. So we have just been informed that there is an issue which has been upgraded to a game loss by our judges.
And who is the perpetrator of the game loss, though?
We will just get confirmation on that.
So while we're discussing this with you, I guess,
We will bring commentary back to us for a second.
while we have this issue,
And we are back. So, I mean, classic matchup, Salmon Great versus Necros, right?
it's tried and tested. It's
that's-
every
You walk into a tournament in 2019 and you're like,
yeah,
I'm going to go watch some Necros action.
exactly.
Hope to trish some people.
I mean, it didn't seem to be doing too bad. It just sort of like, I wouldn't want to chalk it up to die roll. Of course, it's not only die roll. But it had a bit of influence. So going game 1, Salomon Great got to kind of establish their thing, disrupt, pass turn, disrupt again, and it kind of went to game 2 because of it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really blame the die roll when you're playing a deck that's maining evenly matched.
Yeah, exactly. You're kind of banking on the fact of getting the evenly and trying to be able to play through the pressure the opponent has laid out for you. So you're kind of conceding to the fact that a lot of your matchups is not so much winnable, but very tough for you.
Yeah, for sure. It's a pity here because really wanted to see Necros win.
Yes, I really do. I really do. I really like it a lot. So right now they kind of shook hands just now.
So the match has been decided, and Alex, who was playing Salmon Great, has won, which means he still has not dropped a game this tournament.
Yep.
We will go over to him and Ollie in a short while for a player interview, but at the moment, let's just discuss what happened there. So Necros lost the die roll.
Yes.
Had access to cards like evenly matched, but they just were not allowing it to get enough reach versus Salmon Great.
It's not to say that the matchup is like unwinnable, but you kind of need to have a perfect storm of cards and disruption equally.
And Necros has a slight bit more variance than a deck like Salmon.
Exactly.
Salmon Great is like, if you want to go to a tournament and you're the kind of person who says, I always get so unlucky and never open Ray, then you play Salmon
Great.
Great.
But if you're living on the edge, you want to have a bit of fun, and you think, you know what, I want to trish my opponent all day.
Yeah.
I
mean,
Necros
if you're a
is it.
destined duelist and you always just like, when you go to draw the top card of your deck's just glowing with magical light, then you play Necros because, it's fun. It lets you banish stuff. There's lots of banishing. And you also get to play Extravagance, which is, again, in this deck, it's basically
So
pot of
good.
greed. I like drawing 2 cards. You have so many decks. Exactly. You have so many decks in this format where there are options for kind of Pot of Greed-esque cards.
Yes.
So you have the Pot of Extravagance.
Yep.
You have Sekka's Light.
Yep.
You have Pot of Desires. And, you just got to pick which one is your favorite. If you want to be really fancy, you can even go for Card of Demise, which lets you draw 3 cards.
Exactly. I mean, discarding is a caveat, but that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all.
So just to clarify what the issue was in Game 2, unfortunately, Francis had performed 2 procedural errors, which got upgraded to a game loss. So he had attempted to activate cards when he could not. Really important, if you are watching back home, to just make sure when you are playing that you are activating your cards properly.
Yep.
As it is, I think I have kept Ollie and Alex waiting long enough, so we will hand over to them.
See you soon.
Yeah, thank you very much, Daniel and JJ. That was quite the combination, actually. We have one voice that sounds like chalk on a chalkboard, and the other one that sounds like very, very nice. All right, we got Alex here. What was it like in the feature match? You went into this saying, I didn't even drop a single game, and you continued your run. So,
I guess.
but there was a moment when it looked like a little bit differently, right?
What do you mean? I was pretty confident, like,
You were pretty confident.
the entire time, like, I played a lot of Necros, like, against a lot of Necros, so, like, beginning of game 2, if he summoned Fantasy, I didn't know if he could get to Fantasy Draw or not, so, like, I could have lost then, just because, like, my hand was just, like, all Salamangreat cards, so I couldn't really push, like, through it, but, obviously he couldn't get to it, so, like, it just made my turn a lot easier.
Normally, if someone is playing a deck like Necros that is like a little bit more fringe, he, at least to some degree, has the element of surprise working in his favor. It sounds like you knew exactly what his deck was doing.
Yeah, like in game 2, maybe it was a misplay making the Borreload, maybe I should have just made something else instead, but game 2, like, I knew that I had to stop the Trishula, and I knew his Brionet couldn't bounce the Borreload, so I had the circles in hand so I could protect my Balinks, so I could keep the counter trappers alive as long as possible. And then, like, at that point, like, when I knew he was, like, going for those plays, like, it just made, like, I just knew I was winning at that point. Because I had the will to, like, summon my Gazelle back, and it was just game next turn.
Right. You seem like you're really much on top of things when it comes to these matches. I have a question if you were able to change any card in your deck at this point in the tournament, now that you know what's being played very often and stuff like that. Would you change anything at all?
I don't know, maybe just the ratios, because the ratios in my deck are a bit weird, but, like, beyond that, I don't know. I think it's, like, it's what I'm comfortable with. Like, I've been told to, like, play Fusion of Fire and stuff like that, but, like, I can't play that kind of Yu-Gi-Oh! I just, like, prefer controlling the game and then, like, eventually just winning because, like, I've got more cards than my opponent, like actual Yu-Gi-Oh! But instead of just, like, break my board Yu-Gi-Oh! That's...
So maybe if we see tomorrow in one of the 3 rounds of Swiss, then we will ask you the same question again. It might be different because you got even more experience. But so far, so good.
I mean,
all right.
I played 2 Thunders today already, and, like, I toured both of them, so, like, I don't find, like, that bit's not as scary as, like, Sky Striker. Like, if they open, like, multiple engages, like 3 spells, it's just, like, I might lose at that point. Yeah.
I saw online there were a couple of people who were rooting for you, and they said, yeah, Brotherhood, but I see the shirt with Disciples. So
It says Brotherhood on the back.
okay. So what's the secret here? Why is it Disciples and not Brotherhood?
Because, like, the Brotherhood already had a team which, like, the majority of the players are the locals, whereas, like, it was more like my group with, like, the best of players at that locals that were, like, on this team, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got 2 teams by the same umbrella company, which is the Brotherhood.
essentially, yeah.
All right, okay, kind of makes sense. I'm not 100% sure. You're still figuring it out. Okay, I'm going to talk to Ben about that later. All right, so thank you very much. Good luck for the rest of the tournament. It looked like you both had really good fun and also sportsmanship. I mean, even after the game loss, your opponent was immediately like extending the hand and say, "Well, congratulations."
Really nice guy, and, like, I'm happy. Like, if I was, like, playing a feature match like this, I was, like, happy as, like, a nice guy than, like, anyone else. Like, he seems like a really nice guy. I'm like, it's sad that he, like, got the game lost because I'd rather played more Yu-Gi-Oh! But, like, yeah, it is what it is. Like,
If he's a Swiss guy, he's a nice guy. That's the one takeaway from this match that everybody can just write down for themselves. All right, that's it for the round. We're going to check out how many results are open. Maybe it's going to be time for some mini games, maybe not. Anyway, we're going to be back very, very soon with more action live from